Okay, we are back. I haven't done a milkshakes and meaning for a long time. I'm here with Tim Saltzman. Hi, Tim. How you doing? And he's running for sheriff. Now, when is that election? In
March 17th is the primary, 2020.
Okay, so March 17th is the
Day,
primary.
You can't miss
yes.
it.
Okay, that's St. Patty's Day?
St. Patty's Day.
Oh, yeah. So the primary is March 17th. So, yeah, again, I'm drinking a protein shake. Now, I'll get back to the Deech's milkshakes and meaning. We're gonna get this thing started.
This is more of a healthy ride.
This is a healthy ride, yes. Okay, so Tim, when you guys reached out to me, your people, God, it's great to have people, isn't it? When your people reached out to me and said, hey, you want to do a ride? I thought, gosh, that would be great because I want to learn. I mean, I keep seeing signs up all over town for who's running for sheriff, and I'm thinking, well, you know what exactly is the role of the sheriff?
Well, the sheriff has a lot of different roles. First off, the sheriff by Ohio Revised Code is in charge of the jail and corrections, and then they're also in charge of court security, and then there's an enforcement branch. So there's a transport the inmates to prison and court component to it, and obviously preserving the peace of the county. So there is just a lot of roles when it comes to the sheriff.
And so your job, can you still do the same thing Findlay City police officers can do? Can you pull over people in the city of Findlay? Can you get called to places in Findlay? Can the sheriff do that?
Absolutely. The sheriff has the whole county.
Okay.
So you have jurisdiction in the whole county.
Okay.
But you work well with other agencies. As sheriff, the Findlay Police Department's its own agency and own entity, so you have to work well with them. And as sheriff, that's my plan, is build those relationships and break down barriers with other entities in the county, including Macomb Police Department, and the Findlay Police Department, and State Highway Patrol.
Okay. So Michael Heldman has been there for 24 years. I think, right? Approximately 24 years?
He's been sheriff after this term will be 24 years.
24 years. I mean, I've never noticed, and I'm not into maybe politics, I don't know if that's the right thing to say here, but I mean, what would you bring to the table differently than what he's done?
Well, I'm going to bring energy. Change is inevitable. Sheriff is 69, going to be 70 after the end of this term. Change is inevitable. And I think what I'm going to bring is energy. I'm going to bring administrators. I'm going to be more of a servant leader. So I'm going to be a sheriff that's not so much engaged in all the politics in Columbus and the state level. I'm going to be more that's focused on the citizens of Hancock County. I want to bring more fiscal responsibility, and what that means is my administrator is going to be more hands-on, working with the other entities, working with the deputies, bring back a disconnected inter-office agency and bring it more connected, be more servant. Right now, the way I look at it is a sheriff's elected to do every job in the sheriff's office. That includes handing an inmate a uniform or handling a crash on 224. And as sheriff, I'm able to do all this because of my experience at the sheriff's office. I've worked every aspect inside the sheriff's office, from evidence manager to corrections to field training officer, road deputy to school resource officer, crime prevention. So about anything inside the sheriff's office, I've had experience in. So I want to be able to just go back and engage the employees and the deputies and corrections officers and whomever, and really start to build that relationship. So we build morale and bring morale up.
Okay.
And Sheriff, that's a big thing that I want to return back to the sheriff's office.
You mean just the morale within the deputies and the correctional officers and all of that?
Yep, I want to do that. I also want to break down barriers that existed with other agencies.
And you feel like the morale is not when you left, was the morale not good? And
it's just
because you worked for the Hancock County Sheriff.
What's it called?
Hancock County Sheriff.
Hancock County Sheriff's Office.
Sheriff's Office for 16 years.
Correct.
But you're like, you know what? I'm going to leave. You want to say why you left, or not really?
I left. I felt that Sheriff Heldman said he wasn't going to run again, and I felt that there was just a disconnect in some of the leadership. And I said, at some point I'm going to run for sheriff, and I had an opportunity to go to the private sector, and the private sector is about budgets, profit, and I wanted to sharpen the tools in my tool shed and get that experience. And I had a job at Advanced Drainage Systems, ADS, and I was able to hop in there, and where I was in charge of budgets, and in the first year I was able to reduce the budget by thousands of dollars, and I take pride in that. It's the same thing I'm doing at Arcadia, co-athletic director. I'm taking the athletic department with my other co-AD, and we're able to maximize our abilities by reducing spending, and that is always a challenge, but I love that challenge, and be able to work with people on ways to improve things by not spending every time that a solution comes. It doesn't always have to be an expenditure.
Okay.
I like looking at the needs versus the wants, as I like to call it. What do you need? What do we need? And then let's look at, okay, after we fulfill the needs, what are the wants? And examine everything line by line basis.
Is there a budget deficit right now? Not good?
In my opinion, and I can't say it's not good, in my opinion, anytime you work for other people and work for the taxpayers and their money, you should always maximize and find ways to maximize your ability by cutting costs or reducing spending. Right now at the sheriff's office, there's just a lot of expenditures that I think that we can do better on. One being an example, we have some administrators that are rehired that for over a decade, and some are at retirement level that just the energy's not there anymore. They're at the end of their career, and finding ways to either maximize or push them to do more and excel more and be more vocal and leaders of the community and the office, or have individuals in place to do that. That in itself is going to be huge. As far as my school plan, I would like to empower the schools. Schools, if they want a deputy, there's options. I'm going to support any option the school wants to pursue.
So now, does every school, in Hancock County, have a deputy?
No. And right now...
And that's whose choice is that to get a deputy in the schools?
Right now, it's the Hancock County... State law says, the Ohio Revised Code says, school security is the school's responsibility.
Okay.
So now the school can decide how that looks. They can either hire their own people, they can hire a security company, they can hire a sheriff's office or a law enforcement entity to provide a deputy or a patrolman. So that's up to them. And so anytime, any decision they make, if they hire a sheriff's deputy in the schools, the misconception is that liability is waived because I hired an entity to take it. No, because it's your decision. It's kind of like if you have your general contractor's billing your home, and they hire a subcontractor. Well, if something's messed up, everybody's liable. Everybody can be sued because who originally hired the subcontractor. It's the same thing as the schools. The schools hire that out. So if an incident happened at a school and they hired out to a deputy, the school's still liable. Everybody's subject to that liability. So that's a misconception. Now with the sheriff's office plan, right now the sheriff supports the school resource program, which I do too. However, I find it very expensive for some schools to have their own person, meaning right now a deputy cost with benefits, salary and benefits, is about $96,000 to $100,000 a year, and that's not including outfitting a police cruiser, that's not including anything more.
They have to pay the sheriff's department $96,000 to get a deputy in there?
The taxpayers have to pay.
Okay.
Now the school, the sheriff has offered a deal of $52,000 to $54,000 a year for that person, but there still has to be
Sheriff Heldman has offered that deal.
Correct.
Okay.
There still has to be a difference in cost. So the taxpayer still has to come up with the difference in money. Under that plan, the SRO is hourly. They're a union position. There is not flex time in the union contract. So any hours outside their regular hours would have to be paid at time and a half. Under my plan, there's salary positions. Right now at Arcadia, I'm salary. So any hours outside of the school day, which I'm a school employee, is free because it's salary.
Okay,
Doesn't pay a dime extra. And so what I want to do is offer this option to the schools and support it. Right now, they're not being supported. I want to offer it. If they want a deputy, I'm not going to give that deal because, for instance, $50,000 plus for the sheriff's office to have that deputy just during the summer months is not cost effective, because you're only getting a few months, plus you're asking them to take their vacation during that time, plus you're asking them to build curriculum for the school year during that time. And for $50,000 to the taxpayers, I don't care if it comes out of school budget or the county budget, in my mind, it's still taxpayer dollars. So my plan, the school now has flexibility on how much they want to pay these positions if they choose to do so. For example, if a school wants hire an ex-law enforcement that retired at 52 years of age but can't get health care until 60. So they're looking at, they have their pension, but they're looking for those benefits. Now they're able to obtain one of these positions, and the school can pay, for example, $30,000 with benefits.
Okay.
So the total will probably be around $50,000 to $55,000. What they're getting, a full-time ex-law enforcement might be very good, fit the needs of the schools, be able to do more inside the schools because now they're a school employee, not a contracted union employee like a deputy is.
I gotcha.
And they're now able to do more for less, and the school can afford it. Where a deputy is a set rate, you can't change it, it's a union position. And now the schools are going to be better protected for less money.
And does that kick more money back to the sheriff's office?
The sheriff just won't have that. But think about it. If the sheriff has to hire a deputy at $96,000 plus, and they give the school the deal for $52,000, he has that deputy all the way around. He has to come up with the difference to pay the salary and benefits.
Okay.
So that money has to come from somewhere.
Right. And it comes from the taxpayer?
It comes from the tax. Everything comes from the taxpayer.
Yeah, okay. So everything comes from
all the money from the sheriff, it's all public funded.
Okay. All right. Hey, let me ask you this. Because how important is it to get a new jail? Or do we expand the one downtown? Do we go out? Weren't they thinking about building it out at
County 140? That subject came up too. Right now we need to look at jail overcrowding in Hancock County history is not a new thing. I remember working there at the beginning of 2000, and we were 130 people in the jail at a 96-bed facility and turning commitments away at that time. So this isn't new.
Wait, how many could you hold at that time?
We were holding sometimes a capacity of 130 inmates in a 96-bed facility, and that was in the year 2000.
Okay. And how big is it now?
Still the same.
The same.
Still the same size.
Okay, same size. Okay.
So it's not a new problem, is my point. Now, it could be more of an agenda issue, a personal agenda issue, to build this jail right now. But my philosophy is once we build it, we're married to it. Bricks and mortar solution is the last solution because there are ways of rehabilitation. As sheriff, I want to go back to those ways of rehabilitation, start looking at ways to getting individuals back working and making them productive citizens and helping them. There's groups like New Life that are eager about getting inmates back into the workforce. Here's an example. We have a lot of minimum wage jobs. If I'm a drug abuser and addicted individual, and I go back into society right after being clean after a stint in the jail.
Okay, yes.
And I go right back to the environment I came from, I'm more likely to relapse because it's surrounding me. And if you give me a minimum wage job, what's the motivation of getting up in the morning and go to that? Because I can go find 10 more tomorrow.
Right.
But if I can find a way, and this is effective rehabilitation, is building pride in an individual. Psychologically giving them something to look forward to. If I can build that pride and I put them in a job that's maybe making $2 or $3 more than minimum wage, even that, the chances of them finding the job tomorrow is not as good. And now they feel good about what they're doing, and they're more likely to stay in the workforce, be a productive citizen, and stay out of jail.
And how do you do that? How do you find them that job? Is that just your job?
Working with business community. I feel it's the sheriff's job. Absolutely, I feel it's the sheriff's job is to help rehabilitate, because part of corrections in the history of corrections is rehabilitation. The reason you put somebody in jail is to protect society and to rehabilitate, so you hope that they don't reoffend. And right now, with the recidivism rates being well over 80%.
What'd you call it? The what rate?
Recidivism.
And what is that?
Reoffend. When you go back to jail.
How big is it?
It's well over 80%.
Here in Hancock County?
Here in Hancock County.
So
and nationwide.
Is it that high?
It's that high.
And you feel like if they can get a better job and have like a sense of sense of what? Sense of pride,
sense of hope.
Yeah.
I mean, this is our job as society when we talk about throwing somebody in corrections, is to try to build them back up, try to find ways to rehabilitate. That's the whole history of corrections.
And you don't think that they're doing that great of a job right now?
I think we can always have room for improvement. I'm a person that believes in evolution and always feel that there's ways to improve. And I feel that with our inmate population overpopulated, there's ways of working with mental health and ATMOS boards on the addictions, the drug addictions, ways of rehabilitating better. And after looking at all those factors, if a jail is needed, this is not a local problem. This is not even just a state problem. This is a nationwide problem. Overcrowded inmate population, because jails have become the biggest rehab facilities for drug abuse. So if we need a bigger facility, then working with other agencies like Hardin County, Wyandotte County, even the city of Findlay, finding ways to build something together so you're not bleeding. The county's funded with the sales tax. So if we build this for $15 to $20 million, we're going to have to also look at sustainability, which is well more than that. 67% of the county government is the sheriff's office. Of all expenses, engineer's office, county courts, everything, 67% is the sheriff's office. And of that 67%, most of that is personnel expense. So finding ways to maybe work with other entities so you're not bleeding just the Hancock County sales tax, and maybe working with other counties to see if we can do this together so we can split the costs.
Okay. Now, the opioid problem, is it a problem in Hancock County?
Drug abuse, period, is a problem. And it is an issue in Hancock County. Opiates and the opioid addiction is going down because it's now being replaced with methamphetamines. And so the cartels in Mexico and what have you are starting to reduce the production of opioids, heroin, for example, and now are producing more methamphetamines. So we're still going to have those issues. It's just what that looks like as far as will theft go up like it did with the opioid problems, opiate problems. Will people, steal to sustain their habits? We need to look at that a little closer, because that's now a trend that's changing as to what type of drug of choice.
Really?
So, yes.
And what are those? Is it just pill form? Is that their pills?
There's powder, there's pills.
You smoke it?
You can ingest it. You can obviously snort it. You can smoke it. You can lace things with it. Any way you can get in the body.
Okay.
It's the same
and that's more prevalent in Hancock County now.
It's a trend that's changing.
It's a trend that's changing.
Correct.
And we got to nip that in the bud somehow, some way.
Yes.
And how exactly would you do that? Is it education in the schools? Is it if there is a deputy in every school? But you don't. Let me just back up on that. Do you think there needs to be a deputy in every? I mean, Van Buren, Liberty Benton, Arcadia, Macomb. I mean, how many schools are in Hancock County?
There's 8 county schools in Hancock County.
There's 8 county schools.
Yes.
So you don't think that they actually need a deputy, or
I don't think that it's a deputy per se. I want to empower in the schools to say, what do you want? What fits your school and your needs and your beliefs? And I want to support that. If it's a concept like we're doing in Arcadia, which is proven to work, right now, it's proven to work in Arcadia, and you have your own employee that you can pay. Yes, I believe each school will benefit because you can do so much more inside the school with the position like what we're doing in Arcadia than just having a deputy at the school. I will still have deputies. I'll pull back that funding, and I'll create a unit that bounces in as a liaison to these positions. That's what I envision. And then I can take those individuals and through criminal mapping form a directed patrol unit that will then go and saturate high crime areas like we're talking about. If we have a drug trafficking issue in a certain area, saturate that with law enforcement. Because here's the thing with crime prevention. You have the 3 Ds: deter, detect, and delay. And if we can deter the crime from coming to Hancock County, that's a plus. If we can detect it, obviously then we can curb it, incarcerate, whatever we need to do, put them back out in society in a more productive way. And if we can delay it, that means pushing it to somewhere else. Because a criminal is going to be a criminal if they make their mind up that they're going to commit a crime. Now, where are they going to do that at? And if we can prevent them from coming to Hancock County and going somewhere else, we succeeded in the crime prevention elements. As a sheriff, I believe in the community-oriented policing, meaning I want to work with society. I don't want to hide anything, complete transparency, because if I tell you that crime, look for this particular crime, but I'm not transparent about all types of crimes that we're needing to look for, you're not going to, as society, look for that. But if I'm transparent, say, hey, listen, for example, we have a burglary problem in northwest Hancock County, guess what? Society, you're going to look for that. And that's how Sir Robert Peel believed crime prevention should have worked, is by completely being transparent, educate the public on what to look for, and now we work together to come to that common goal, and we're better unit as society works with law enforcement on preventing crime and detecting crime.
Okay, so you feel like if you get elected for sheriff, you can just bring that leadership into where you can motivate the people around you to rise up just a little higher and bring all this together in a better organization.
Yes. Like I said, change is inevitable. What I will bring to the office is an energy and rejuvenate some of the stagnant leadership that's there, and try to build up the public, and say, hey, listen, we can work together. There's ways of real engagement. Serving, being more servant, being out there with the deputies, but also being out there with the community more, and listening and working with them. I think in day one they're going to see a different energy than what's there now.
Okay, good. Well, listen, we have to wrap it up. I like to keep these around 15 to 20 minutes. Tim, anything else you want to add? We covered a lot. We covered a lot, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
The only thing we
didn't have the milkshake, but we
didn't have the milkshake. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks a lot. March 17th is the primary. Right?
Yep.
So everybody get out and vote March 17th. Tim Saltzman, thanks a lot, man. I appreciate you riding along.
I appreciate
Good talking.
you having me.
I learned a lot.
Thank
Tim.
you.
Thanks.
Yep.
Have a good day, everyone.